one of the most difficult things of hazing is really getting the kids involved because most of them are like could care less.
You're popular, you're fine, your grades are going to be fine because teachers are going to take care of you. They want you to play the big game. But like someone like me who's just, I was going to graduate early and work for a while and then figure out what I'm going to do, like I don't get as much support.
I'm really excited to see the amount of people that showed up for the class.
I kind of felt a bit of excitement because I was talking to Jason on the ride up here and saying, you know, I've had such hard feelings about traditional schooling in the past and how I've kind of tried to channel that into a more productive means of school reform, but I felt like I really haven't done enough research about my own school, and then you're kind of asking me to do that in a way that's meaningful and that I'll get credit for it, so that's all good.
All good.
That's exciting.
It's exciting for us too, you know? I mean, that's what we want to see with our students, is that they're doing something that feels meaningful to them. And if it's, you know, helping us out, we're all better, right?
Just this format alone of taking a course with students, I mean, if we could put this not only in our high schools but in our colleges, that this is how teachers learn, is with students by their side.
The whole reason for this course is for you to be able to connect the communications needs you have at school based on what you're doing, what you need, to the research and the rollout of this work. So first part of any action research process is to gather information. And just to remind all of us, what are we gathering information about? We're saying we think that young people should be far more active and in partnership with adults as they learn and co-create learning. Why bother? Because a lot of people out there think it's a crazy idea. What are the main questions that are happening for us in September and October that are going to drive our research?
What do we already know about youth-adult partnership in learning and decision-making and innovative redesign practices, i.e., personalized learning plans, proficiency-based graduation requirements, flexible pathways, performance-based assignments. What do we need to know?
Great.
Which redesign strategy best meets the needs of our school at this time?
How does this selected strategy link to the others, creating a platform for ongoing change?
How does the 1, art and sciences of communicating for social change, and 2, public opinion research on education and learning inform our work?
What does our student body and faculty think and feel about youth-adult partnership and proposed school redesign efforts?
What covert and overt barriers to student engagement and voice exist in our school/community/society?
What specific questions do we want to ask, and of whom?
What are the best ways to collect the information we need?
In order to answer those questions, Sean is going to lead off with some of the things we'll be doing to actually do this research.
You might be doing during this phase reading basic information on both youth, adult partnership, and innovative practices to attain a level of expertise.
Defining core questions that need to be answered to craft a compelling message is taking into account what you now know about how people understand public issues and how Americans think about education and learning.
Completing field-based research, including a site visit to another school.
Going to a site and seeing it and talking to students and teachers and principals is just an amazing part of this research process. One is a school that Jane has worked with.
It's Pittsfield, New Hampshire, and they have been working, it's a small rural community. For the last 5 years, they have been intensely redesigning their entire school system. It's a small system, but they have really done kind of everything at once. And I would say that it might be the center of ed reform for this country.
Montpelier High School, some of you have been there, some not, but they have been working on a number of these innovative strategies for a long time. And those who want to go farther afield, the Expeditionary Learning School in Portland, Maine. So you will be, in the next day or so, and certainly over the next months, sharing as a team which of these. We're not going to nail all of them. You will choose the ones that have meaning to you as a school, and that's what you'll focus on. That's the skinny on the first phase of gathering information. But now we're going to walk to the next part of our timeline, which is in the next room. Our next class is the end of, it's about 4 weeks from now. And so this is looking at what's going to happen in that class and into the following month.
How do we conduct and document a focus group to gather the information we need?
What strategies or tools will best convey the power of youth-adult partnership in learning and change?
How do we capture compelling material to be woven into the final tools?
What are the basic principles / qualities of the messaging tools that will guide our work and be a measure of our success?
Exploring alternative tools / means for communicating youth-adult partnership and deciding what tools we will design.
Creating our own criteria to guide tool development and assessment, high and clear expectations for our work.
Recruiting a diverse student group and a diverse teacher group and conducting 2-hour-long focus groups to research redesign perspectives.
Having focus group data organized, transcribed for analysis.
Collecting video footage, audio material for inclusion in tool development.
What tools might we be thinking ourselves into that we're trying to collect information on to then be able to be advocates, compelling advocates?
I would say that the big umbrella is storytelling. We're going to be looking for the kinds of stories to tell, and also to have talking points or certain messages that are on paper or could be part of a presentation that we'll talk about what the traps are, the communication traps tomorrow, that don't fall into those traps.
We've been talking about, or in our planning, about producing a video and an exhibition. There's just a whole lot of really interesting things to think about with regard to the idea of exhibition, and then really interesting decisions to make in the creation of exhibition, and it's all stuff that we can work on together.
There is so much jargon in this field, and we are going to try as hard as we can to be a jargon-free zone. And there's actually some very new research that I'll share with you tomorrow, and I don't know how to use it yet. And so I'm really looking forward to having this group co-create how to use this new research, knowing that it's evidence-based, it's been tested and tested, but how do we turn it from laboratory language to walking around language so that anybody, you know, a 7th grader, can understand it.
This phase is the analyzing information. So you will have collected in your research efforts at a site visit, in your own school, in focus groups, and maybe in, I don't know what else besides focus groups, individual interviews, we don't know. But it will be a time to analyze that information, make meaning of it, and then use that meaning to drive the design of whatever the tools are, however you're going to message youth adult partnership and learning. So the big first goal will be, subsequent to analysis, will be how do we go out there and help people understand that young people absolutely have to be players in this game. And this analysis process will happen hopefully in the field before we get to the last class. The December class is going to be a huge work session. It will be both looking at your analysis but moving directly into design. So that's the analyzing information piece.
In the past couple of years of this YATS program, it's really like imagining I want this to happen, I want this to happen, but this is really going to be what Ellen said, the ripple effect. It's going to be the thing that's going to initiate everything. It's going to be the first, and it's going to have an impact, and we're driven to do that.
Most of our staff meetings are very dry about transactional stuff, and anytime students come in, they're like totally psyched to change the energy, but it hardly ever happens. And so to start creating some venues for student voice to be central in our meetings, so I think would be impactful in how those meetings are run. I think it'd be more engaging and more beneficial.
I'm currently working on a senior thesis project that is a fairly new field for me, even having worked with YATS for the past year and a half. approximately. I am excited for the tools and figuring out how we will use them, because that will help me implement them in other fields of my work and discoveries.
Great. I'm excited about the framework that I think this class will provide for some of the work that Sean and I were hoping to do anyway, or doing anyway. And this is exactly what we're doing, really. But it's giving us a framework and a place to start, and it's giving us students to work with.
We're going to walk away, I think I'm going to feel more equipped today.
Oh.
I don't know about you, Asa, but I'm feeling like maybe we'll have better tools to bring back to our group.
Here we go. December's in here. Tell me what you're doing December to April, guys. Shout it out.
Skiing, yes.
All right.
March Madness.
March Madness.
Oh, yes. Ellen, would you mind starting off with just maybe reading the December class, and then we'll head around.
What are the steps in creating these messaging tools? How do my interests and strengths best serve my design team?
January class. How will we test the effectiveness of our youth-adult partnership tools? What strategies / tools will best communicate the particular school redesign strategy we are focusing on?
March class. How can we make our tools even more effective based on the feedback we have received?
April 11th conference. How will our tools be received by a wide cross-section of policymakers, community members, media folks, educators, students, yachts, schools, etc.? How will we collect feedback regarding responses to our work to further shape their design? What are the pertinent parts of our research findings and other things we've learned in this process that are worth sharing with the public?
In December, we'll be creating our youth-adult partnership messaging tools and testing them out.
In January, we'll be figuring out our next tool design task for your chosen redesign strategy and creating a work plan to carry out over the next month. March, creating our redesign tools and testing them out. Also March Madness.
April, hosting YATS statewide conference with folks from the Agency of Education, State School Board, and media organizations, and sharing our work.
There's a 3-day class in March. That's the second mega work weekend for tool design. The State School Board of Ed has put out new legislation, Act 77, isn't it? That says all schools 7 to 12 will have personalized learning plans and flexible pathways. They have no idea, nor do many schools, what that means or how they're going to get there. And so we are so timely, not just for your individual schools, but on a state level. So when they come to this gathering, they're hungry for what we're going to be providing them. This is precedent-setting work. There's just no question about it.
I'm always looking into like, what does this mean and what are we going to do next? And so I immediately looked to the statewide conference on April 11th, because I figured that's really going to be where things are going to happen and we're going to have an effect.
I'd say one thing I'm looking forward to is, as we are all looking at expressing these complex ideas and finding good ways to communicate them, it's like great that I'll have like whatever Hazens and Harwoods and People's Academy and all these different ways that I can then bring back your video or whatever to bring back to my staff and my students, and having multiple ways with different perspectives on how to communicate this stuff.
I'm always really looking into communication just on a basic level and how I can always improve how I present myself to the public, how I represent big picture publicly, and I think that's a really good opportunity to have some personal development going on.
We're going to be winding down, sliding into June. It's going to get warm again. The grass is getting green finally. The ice is out on Joe's pond. You have to go reflect. So let's rally for our reflection here. Who would like to start? Reflections.
What have we learned as a team this year?
What have I learned about myself and my leadership, including communication, knowledge, and skills?
How can I apply what I have learned to my life at large?
How can I assure that these tools will be shared beyond my school?
what you might be doing during this phase. Pondering.
Classic.
Writing, capturing, to share what you've learned.
And of course, celebrating.
We are going to have one amazing celebration at the end, but I really invite all of us to kind of dip our feet into really looking hard at what we're doing and why we're doing it and what it feels like to do that, and because there's a ton of personal growth that can happen along the way here, and as professionals, just open huge doors. So on many levels. So that is our ending April, May. We'll have the conference in April. We'll have a final afternoon class. It won't be a full day. It won't be a retreat, but a closing piece for all of us. So.
Optimistic.
Excited.
Keystone.
Amazing.
Thrilled. Exclamation point.
Happy?
Deep learning.
Meaningful.
Re-energized.
Disseminate.